of Franchising Brand Stories.
And I'm Liam, owner of More Than Loft Ladders.
Fantastic. Welcome to Franchising Brand Stories. This is a show where we get under the hat of some of the top brands in franchising in the UK and in the world. This is a live format. So if you were joining us at 5:15 or anywhere between now and about 6 o'clock on the 12th of June, 2024, you can comment live. And it's fantastic to get your comments and to bring those into the show. It's very much a format where we get everyone involved. And this is somewhere where you can find out what is behind some amazing brands. And today is no exception to that. Today, where the brand story that we're going to hear is More Than Loft Ladders with the wonderful Liam Hobbs, and he's there right on the right hand side of your screen. But before I hand things over to Liam, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about the brand, and I can never remember this bit, so I have to read it, so forgive me for that. But there we go. Here we go. Stairway to Franchise Heaven. No puns intended for that. More Than Loft Ladders stands out as a dynamic and innovative franchise in the home improvement sector, specialising in creating functional, accessible loft spaces for homeowners across the UK. With a rich history and a commitment to excellence, More Than Loft Ladders has become a respected name in the industry, driven by a unique business model and a focus on customer and franchise satisfaction. So I'd like to start, because it's traditional to start chapter one. and chapter one is where are you at now? So Liam, first of all, welcome to Franchising Brand Stories. It's lovely to have you here. And perhaps you could let people know what is More Than Loft Ladders and where are you right now as an organisation?
Yeah, so More Than Loft Ladders, we basically, as you said, make people's lofts suitable for storage. So in effect, sort of making the house bigger without the need for an extension or costly loft conversions. So we can clear that spare room or various different circumstances that people need us. So we've been going 2007. It was first started in Bolton. A chap called Mark Rigby. 2013, I joined as a franchisee. Long story short, I'm sure we'll get into the details further in the conversation. But long story short, I became franchisor nearly 2 years ago, and we've sort of spent the last 18 months sort of remodeling the franchise and sort of bringing it, up to speed with what people want from a franchise today. And sort of redefining what we're looking for in franchise partners. We're in a position now where we're really looking to recruit new franchise partners into the network and kick on and expand.
Fantastic, that's great. So where are you at as a sort of a network at the moment? What sort of size of business are you?
So there's 7 franchisees currently. I'm one of them. We did have a couple leave sort of in the last 12 months just because it wasn't sort of working out for them anymore. They're a bit long in the tooth. One guy was retiring and the other one, it wasn't performing and hadn't been for quite a while. So we sort of had that discussion and parted ways. We've just our newest franchisee in Northampton has just started, so we're back up to 7, and he's going great guns.
No, that's great, and thank you so much for that introduction to your business, and that gives people a good idea as to where you're at now. Before we start to get into the meat of the subject and that sort of thing, I'd just like to ask you that the services that you do. I mean, it's perhaps obvious that you put in loft ladders and access people's storage, but it says more than loft ladders. Perhaps you could give us an idea of the services you offer the end user.
Yeah, so we create safe access into the loft space by means of a loft ladder. There are various types of loft ladders, electric ones, wooden ones, standard ladders that you're used to seeing, propped up at the side of the house. So we create safe access. We can open up the hatch to make that bigger, and then put a storage platform within the loft so people can access the loft and store stuff in there. We do shelving solutions. We can offer storage boxes, things like that. We pop a light in so they can see what they're doing when they're up there. So it is sort of everything you need to store stuff in your loft safely and securely. We can sort it for you.
Fantastic. If you look at my loft and the access to my loft, I might need your services. Mine is absolutely chock-a-block full, and I have to climb up a ladder, a very sort of precarious ladder to get there. So I might have to give you a call.
Yeah, we definitely saw that for you.
Absolutely. Look, before we get into topic today and finding out a little bit more about you, let's recognise a couple of people who have joined us here early on. So we have the wonderful Katrina Newman, QFP. I'm going to say your initials there. Very good. I'd like to get those as well. And Katrina's put, hello, Liam and Harvey. Looking forward to hearing more of your story, Liam. Absolutely, yes. And we are looking forward to hearing that story as well. And we've got Simon, the ever wise Simon Wise. I don't just say that because he's my partner on this one. A lovely chap, and I'm glad that you're with us. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts during the middle section of today's show. And that's really what we're going to be getting into in a moment. If you have just joined us, this is Franchising Brand Stories, and we are hearing what's under the hat of More Than Loft Ladders with the wonderful Liam Hobbs. If this tickles your fancy and you would like to tell your story, then scan the QR code that's on the screen right now. When I change it to the right, I change it to the right one, and you can be a guest on the show. So please do that. So we are now going to get into the main part of today's show, chapter 2, and this is really where we want to take you back in time, Liam. Where did things begin? I know you said that you were a franchisee and you've become a franchisor. Take us right back to the beginning. How did it start for you?
So I, as a lot of people, I was sort of in the corporate space. 2011, it all sort of came crashing down for me. I sort of had the realization that that wasn't what I wanted, and needed to do something new, complete new challenge. So I actually walked out of a very good job, much to my wife's disgust. And went over to Tesco the next day and got a job standing on the front door looking at the cameras, just for something to do, just to pay the bills whilst I sorted out what I was doing. I fortunately had my HGV license, so I did manage to get into an HGV job for Warburton's delivering bread, which I did for a couple of years whilst I was sort of really sort of trying to suss out what it was that I wanted. And I decided that franchising was the way to go. I'd realised that I was unemployable. I still have arguments with myself at work. So I just thought, franchising is the way to go, because you've got you've got that support network behind you, as well as having that sense of you building your own business. So I started looking around at franchises, sort of looked at the usual suspects, sort of Greenthorn and Chips Away and stuff like that, and they're all quite expensive. And I stumbled across More Than Loft Ladders that weren't sort of really out there, but I've stumbled across them in my search for a suitable franchise, and just instantly fell in love with it, the concept and the simplicity of it. So yeah, it wasn't too long before I'd made my mind up to sign up and get involved in More Than Loft Ladders. So it was 2013, as I say, and a couple of years in, I was sort of building the business up to the point where I couldn't cope on my own. So sort of hired my first installer. That was quickly followed by another installer. And eventually sort of I slowly came off the tools to get more into running a managed business rather than being in the thick of it all the time. At that point, another installer comes along, so I'm now full-time sort of running the business and going out and doing the estimates and quoting to win the work. And it just kept growing. We were doing it right. There wasn't a huge amount of sort of input and support from the previous franchisor. He sort of it was supportive. I don't want to sort of knock him down, but it was sort of he'd sort of reached his lot, and it was a comfortable income for what he was getting, and there was no sort of passion to drive it and grow it. My franchise had sort of grown beyond his sort of original franchise and what was happening, so I was sort of going into uncharted territory. And we finished up with sort of we'd got a premises, we'd got somebody in the office doing the admin. I'd employed a sales surveyor, and I was full time now, sort of working on the business rather than in it. We had 6 fans, and it was all sort of going, and I realised I'd grown this thing that was bigger than the franchise, if you like. So for me, the natural thing was, if it was clear that the previous franchisor, was happy with what he'd got and didn't want to push it any further. So that the natural question was, before I sign up and renew my agreement, what is your future plan, and would you consider selling it? To which he said yes, he would, but it was a little way off because of sort of their personal and whatever. So I renewed my agreement, on the basis that at some point in the next 3 or 4 years we'd be doing a deal. Happily for me, it came forward. He sort of got in touch and said, look, plans are moving quicker than I thought. I'm ready to go. So we quickly got it all tied up, and so yeah, it was October 22. I became franchisor. So that was the end of me being the frustrated franchisee. So I've kept my franchise business on, so I still run that as well as being franchisor, although I have brought my wife and son in to help with sort of the day-to-day of that. But I think it's important to keep that so that we can keep, we can keep one, we're still in touch, we're still doing that day-to-day. And we can also test, new things out, new ideas that we might have to support the franchisees. We can use ours as a test bed and make the mistakes before we pass them on to the other guys.
Gosh, you've said a lot of things that resonate with me. I mean, I'm gonna pick up on something you've just said there. Make the mistakes so that other people don't have to. I mean, that's what we are offering as franchisors. We're offering the mistakes we've made, and my goodness, we all make a few, a lot, and they're hard. They're hard to make those mistakes. And if you can make them, and someone else can have the benefit of you already having done it, amazing. I also like the way that when you first looked at the franchise, you said you fell in love with it, and it's an emotive thing. When you're looking for a business opportunity, to find that why, they're simple businesses, but you really have to find that drive to want to do it. So I love that. Before we continue, and thank you for that wonderful history of where you've come from and where you're at now. Let's recognize a couple more people that have joined us. So We've got Andrew Walters that's joined us. Great to have you with us, Andrew. I had a lovely conversation with you today. So thanks for being here. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Maybe you've found some hidden treasures in your loft. Let us know. And we've got Jason Caber from SEO Samba. Fantastic to have you here. Now, we've got a question that's come up from Simon. So let's pop this on the screen right now. It's great to have your questions. This show is really driven by the community of people that are around us. So if you've got some questions for Liam, let us know. But let's see what Simon's got to say. So Simon has put, how do you run things differently from your previous franchisor? Is your mindset different to theirs? I mean, this is a really good one. I think it's really key as to what mindset, what type of character you are. You clearly said that the previous person, very nice, great business, but had reached a point where, they were happy with where it was, so didn't have that drive. So what do you think the difference in your mindset is to theirs? Is it that drive to grow and make it more than what it is, more than Loft Ladders?
No, it's very much that. I've got the sort of passion and the hunger to make this thing bigger. I grew my business into a bigger thing, and for me now, as franchisor, one sort of the main goal was I as I said to you, I fell in love with the brand very quickly, and I don't know if disappointed is the right word, but I'll use it. I was disappointed that brand hadn't, in my opinion, reached its full potential. So we've done a bit more work sort of polishing that brand up, and now we are sort of really pushing the brand. It's a great brand. I was fortunate to sort of inherit that with the business, but as I say, there was so much unlocked potential in that. Sort of one of my biggest things was the little character that's on the logo. I'd always called him Larry to my kids. The kids have been brought up with this guy called Larry on the side of my van, and bringing him to life was sort of key to me, because that was such a wasted opportunity. I always felt in terms of marketing the thing.
Absolutely. So how have you brought him to life? Is he climbing up the steps at the exhibitions?
We've not gone for the full suit yet. But I keep threatening to get a suit made and plonk somebody in it.
Maybe yourself.
Yeah, well, no, I think Louise Harris, who's just turned up, she's in prime position for that one.
Oh, well, there you go. Look, let's introduce Louise, as you've mentioned her. Hi, yeah. Louise, great to have you with us. Looking forward to seeing you in the Larry the Loft Ladders suit.
One was the brand, getting that out there. So bringing him to life, we've done animated posts and clips and stuff like that of Larry going into a loft to get stuff out and all the obvious things. We've got a campaign actually handily with AdSmart, which has gone live in the past week or so. So we have actually got an advert going out on Sky AdSmart.
Wow, fantastic! Yeah, that's amazing.
So that was a big one. It's been a lot of hard work getting that brought to life. But that was a big one, and I'm not going to blow smoke up AdSmart because they're the sponsor.
I'm quite happy you have.
When I went to a presentation for Sky AdSmart 18 months ago, something like that, I was blown away. I couldn't believe, I always, you always think television adverts, that's way out of our league.
I thought that as well. Yeah.
And here we are 18 months later, and we've actually got an advert on TV.
That's fantastic.
It's
absolutely fantastic. Well done. And I thought the same thing. And that's brilliant. And look, Louise has agreed. She's in the suit. Get it made.
This has got to happen now. Then this has got to happen.
And I wouldn't know anything about marketing and silly costumes in any way at all, would I? Let's have a look. We've got a question here from someone who's joined us, and it's Danny Hamlon. Great to have you here, Danny. Danny's put, hi, Harvey and Liam. What type of person makes the best franchisee at more than Loft Ladders? What qualities do they have? Absolutely fantastic question, Danny. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
what type of person are you looking for? You know, what characters make good franchisees in your view?
So we are really looking for somebody who sort of matches our. I'm big on values. I'm of the opinion that you can teach behaviour. You can teach the technical side of the job, but you can't teach somebody values. You know, they've either got it or they haven't. In my opinion. So we're foremost, we're looking for people who, want to come in. You know, that they're open, they're honest, they're aligned with us, and people that want to grow a business. I'm not ruling out. You know, I'm perfectly happy with a guy that comes along and runs a good business just as man in a van. But we're looking for the people who want to do something a little bit more. People who we've proven now, we've got the model that the business can be grown from one van to 6-7 vans. So we're looking for people coming in who have, a little bit of technical ability, but as I say, that can be taught. If you can pick a drill and a hammer up the right way, we can get you doing what we do. That side of it isn't the hardest thing. It's have you got it in the heart and in the head to run and grow a business? So somebody who can follow the model. We'll say, look, this is how we've done it. Take that and go and do it. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. But by all means, if you can find a way to get it spin quicker, then let's talk about it. Let's look at it and learn these things together. So somebody who, yes, wants to grow a business, but also somebody who can push me as a franchisor as well.
I love that.
So for me, my passion in this is, to help people. My franchise grew beyond my wildest dreams. I never thought I'd end up, with something of that size. It's £1 million a year business. If I can help people get to that, that for me is the biggest thing. If I can help people grow a business from one van up to what we've done, the sense of achievement in that would be huge for me. That's my goal, is to get somebody past where we've got.
What a great way of looking at it, and to come at this from a position of having done this yourself as a franchisee. When you're trying to get someone to emulate that, and you're trying to encourage them to enjoy that same level of success, you're not doing that from picking a card out of a pack, or you're doing that from something that you've done. It is hard work, but you've done it, so you can speak from experience. So I love that. I also love when you said it comes from the heart as well, because you can't teach that. Well, I picked up on what you said there about you fell in love. It comes from the heart. People are driven by emotion. All of the skills needed to put in a loft ladder can be taught. I'm not taking anything away from the skill that it takes to put a loft ladder in. I couldn't. I've got an extendable pair of steps, but that passion for the business side of it, it's great to hear that is what you're looking for. I've got to ask you, have you found any good things in a loft? I was a big fan of that Storage Wars. Has there ever been a bit of hidden treasure you found?
We did find a tub of cash that had been that had been sort of forgotten by a previous owner.
Amazing.
That was we sort of took that down and handed it over to the owner. There's some really interesting things that you sometimes sort of stumble across, old collections of football programs and things like that. I love old newspapers. If you find an old newspaper from 1940 something, I love it. I'll sit there and try and read it, piece it back together. Yeah, stashes of adult magazines, that's quite common. Just tucked inside the hatch. Oh
dear,
I didn't know about that.
yeah, absolutely,
And
yeah. But it's interesting when you say about the old newspapers as well. It gives you that dip into the past, doesn't it? You know.
yeah, I'm quite a nostalgic sort of person
Yeah,
anyway. But yeah,
fantastic.
I love finding old newspapers. We do a little when we get an interesting find, we put it on our socials with the hashtag things we find in lofts. So yeah, if you put that hashtag in on our socials, it will show you up some of the better finds we've had.
Oh, fantastic. Well, everyone check that out. At the end of the show, we're going to put a QR code up so that people can get to your website and they can find out all about those hidden treasures. We've got a couple of other questions. We've got one from Simon that's coming up, and we've also got another one from Danny. Danny's put, thanks, guys. Also, how do you manage those customers who want to pay cash and maintain your royalties? How does the royalty structure work in your business, and how do you control it? Yeah, I mean, these are good questions. I suppose in the building trade, sometimes people do want to perhaps, use cash payments. Perhaps that's not as commonplace anymore. I don't know, but how does the royalty payments work?
So our royalties. So I did switch how this worked under the previous franchisor. So previously, everything was sort of collected and paid to the franchisor, and then he divvied it out to the relevant franchisees. I quickly changed that because that was always sort of a sense of lack of trust, sort of for me and within the network. The big boys and girls, these people running these franchises, you should be able to trust them. There's always a little bit of a bit of a leap of faith when you're taking somebody new on, but so I did change it around so that everybody collects their money in, and I just invoice for the royalties.
Okay. Yeah.
We've reduced the royalties. Everyone was probably expecting them to go up under a new franchisor, but we actually reduced the royalties. Because for me, I want my franchisees I want them to concentrate on making more profit. I get my slice on the turnover, but if they're making more profit, they're happier, and then they will organically grow their business, and that's when I get my bit, further down the line. But if they're profitable, then they're going to hang around. In terms of the cash was king.
I remember that expression.
We don't get as much now. And personally, for me, I'd prefer to run a cashless business, just because everything's cleaner. You're never sort of under suspicion. We have a good CRM that is tight and it's solid, and it flags up when funny things happen. So that sort of we there's always that element of trust, but the CRM is very tight. People will realise they've got to be pretty slick to slide something past. I'm not naive. That there's always going to be the odd little bit going on here and there, but if it's if it's not a huge problem.
Yes, of course, yeah, and I think you've managed that. It sounds like you're managing that well. I mean, I wanted to pick up on something you said, which I thought was really key. You mentioned about when you were talking about the royalties, you mentioned about profit and success. Someone once said to me that the simple ingredients for a successful franchise business is this: it's happy, successful franchisees. And if you can create people that are enjoying what they do and making a decent living from what they do and making money, then you've got everything you need for them to want to replicate it and for others to want to do the same.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a nuanced thing, but it's fantastic to clearly hear that happy, successful franchisees are what you're looking to find.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look at a question here from Simon. And Simon's put, what does a typical day in the life of a franchisee look like? That's a great question, Simon, because I think that anybody who's looking to invest the business, you've got to find out their why, but also find out what their picture of running the business looks like. So what does a day in the life of More Than Loft Ladders look like?
So it's probably start at the beginning. So as a newer franchisee, chances are you'll be working alone, or there may be two of you. A typical day literally is sort of get up, get down to the suppliers, pick up your materials for the day's work, get to site, do the job. Throughout the day, you'll be receiving calls. We have a call handling service, so all the inbound leads are taken by the call handlers, so that the franchise partners aren't sort of distracted when they're stuck in the corner of a loft. But then they get a notification through saying that they've got a new lead to call. So it's when you go out to your van, you check your phone, make a couple of phone calls, book those inquiries in for quotes, and then some of the guys they'll sort of go and do a couple of quotes on the way home after they've done the day's work. They may decide to sort of block the quotes into sort of a couple of afternoons a week, and it's sort of whatever works for you. There's no real right or wrong way, so long as you're getting back to the leads quickly, and you turn up to do the quote when you said you were going to turn up to do it. A typical day is sort of get your materials, go and do your job. 2 or 3 quotes on the way home, and then as you grow your business, you sort of you come away from the tools and spend more time sort of doing the quoting and starting getting a bit more strategic, and getting more into sort of the marketing side and running the business.
Yeah, working on the business rather than in the business, as you rightly discovered on your own journey. Before we proceed further today, if you have just joined us, this is Franchising Brand Stories. And today we are hearing the story of More Than Loft Ladders with the wonderful Liam Hobbs. If you have just joined us and you want to catch this full episode, scan the QR code that's on the screen now, and it's going to take you to the replay if you are watching in the distant future, because that's how clever this is. You can catch the full episode, so please do that. Also, I'd like to say that next Wednesday, join us live at 5:15. I'm going to be in Lanzarote doing this, hopefully, if I get some Wi-Fi signal from there. But we're going to be interviewing Ryan Armitage from Tesla. So we're going to hear all about his franchising brand story, and we're going to get under the hat. Have to do that. The following week, we're going to return to Thursdays. So 27th, Thursday the 27th, we will hear the brand story of Reading Doctor with Deborah Salisbury. So please scan that QR code to catch the replay. Let's go back to a question I wanted to ask. Everyone gets to ask questions, so do I. A question I wanted to ask is, you've introduced some new franchisees here, and you must have met lots of different people, whether they're franchisees, whether they're customers. You must have met some really interesting characters over the time, and perhaps found some stories that that where people had their lives changed by franchising. Because I genuinely believe that getting into franchising can change your life for the better. Are there any characters or stories that stick out in your mind over the years?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many great people in the franchising sector. I mean, for me, it certainly changed my life. It put me back on track, and sort of, I've grown beyond what I was looking for from it. And some of the guys in our network, they got into it for different reasons under the previous franchisor. It sort of wasn't. It was a franchise, but it was just to sort of come along. Here's the basics, off you trot. And actually seeing how they've engaged with the change and how it's improved them has been fantastic. I mean, one of our guys was ready to throw the towel in at the point of he really honestly thought that he'd been doing it. He was the first franchisee, I was the second, So he'd been doing it 10 years, and you know, he thought his time was done. It was going quiet. It was going flat. It probably lost a bit of interest, you know, himself as well. And he was so close to sort of calling it a day. And we sat down, we had a chat, and said, look, you know, this is the vision. This is what, you know, we're going to offer, and how we're going to improve More Than Loft Ladders. And these are some of the tools that, you know, we've got to help you do that. And straight away just adopted that, implemented some of that stuff, changed his marketing strategy. Within 3 months, he's ringing me up saying, I've got too many leads. I don't know what to do. It just turned around so quickly. And now he's got somebody working for him now, and he's looking at getting another van and growing the business. So to sort of turn, you know, see how in 2 years his life has changed. Just by being re-energized, I suppose.
Re-energy. That's a great word. Great way of putting it as well. It wasn't some dramatic thing that had to happen, but just instilling a little bit of extra energy in things really changed that, and it's changed the course of that person's future as well. You know, they would have just finished with that, maybe, you know, done something else. That's fantastic. What a great story. I've got to go on to a comment we've had here from Jason from SEO Samba. So I'm going to tease you with it in 2 parts. He's put, found this on your site, love it. And I'm going to read something. This is, I hope, from your site. I'm going to read this out, and it says, respect our people, our customers, our environment, innovate, adapt and transform, never stand still. Pursue growth through learning, empowerment, support, and trust our people to get the job done. Teamwork, communicate and collaborate to succeed. Build a positive team and family spirit. Be happy and hardworking. Create fun and a little weakness. Integrity, trust, transparency, and honesty. Always, no excuses. Deliver wow through service. Be passionate and determined. That's fantastic. I mean, perhaps pick up on a little bit of where. I mean, my goodness, there's a lot to pick apart from that. But where did this statement come from, and when did that come into the business?
So they're our core values, and we've got in the office, and Louise will vouch for it. We've got a wall that's about 20 foot long, 10 foot high. We've got Larry stood in the middle, and we've got all these core values plastered on the wall. And that is, you know, that's the first thing people see when they come into our office. And that just tells everybody what we are about. So yeah, obviously respect. You know, we respect the people who work with us. We respect our customers. We respect the environment we're in. And yeah, this is all the things that we're looking for in somebody, and encourage both our staff within our franchise, and, you know, potential franchise partners and current franchise partners. You know,
I love it. One thing I was going to pick up on there is be happy and hardworking. I love the combination between those two things. You know, I've done various jobs in my time, but you know, when you do any job and you do it well, it can be hard work, but it makes you happy to do that well. Apart from the financial success of that, just doing a job well, it's evocative. It releases endorphins, I think. You know, I'm going to share a little story, and I'm going off here a little bit. But I went into a supermarket petrol station the other day, and someone had just put all the cans out in a fridge. And, you know, they did it with absolute perfection. And it just showed a job well done, you know, and I think that's fantastic. Love that. I love the fact that you clearly live those values. You know, values sometimes we can put down on a PowerPoint presentation, you know, but to truly have them running through the spirit of the business, you know, you've lived them from top down, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a little look at what Louise has said in response to this. Yes, we can see it, first of all. There we go. But Liam lives and breathes his values, and it's a joy to see. And yes, they are on the wall. Everyone sees them. I mean, that's great to hear from someone we all know and love and respect, but you know, that feels those values just like you do. I mean, you know, when you said that things come from the heart, you know, you can see that these things mean something to you beyond those words. So thank you so much, Louise and Jason, for picking up on those, because they're really important. And I think when you're looking at who's going to be your partner in the future, to really know what those values are, and know that they mean something, you know, to you and Larry, is really important. We are starting to draw towards the end, but we've got a few more things that I wanted to talk about. In terms of sort of the prospect journey, if you are inquiring about your franchise, you know, and you make that first inquiry, what does that journey look like for a potential franchisee up to the point of making their decision if this was the right business for them?
So yeah, inquiry comes in. We have an initial sort of screening process, if you like, just to sort of, you know, weed out the you know, the sort of spam and you know, people who are looking for McDonald's or you get all sorts. Everybody's heard the stories. So, you know, once we've qualified that you know, it's a genuine lead that's genuinely interested in what we're doing, we'll hop on a phone call and sort of arrange, you know, if they're local to us, we'd like them to come into to our office and see everything and see how we work. If they're a bit further afield, I'll go out to them and we'll tie it in with a franchise visit or whatever. You know, I think it's important that, you know, if somebody's interested, they've took the time to be interested in our business. We owe it to them to sort of, you know, go out of our way and go and see them. So, you know, once I've qualified a lead, you know, I'll think nothing of jumping in the car and driving to the other end of the country to go and have a conversation with them. I'll drive anywhere to talk to anybody, whether they be a prospective franchisee or not, because I just love talking to people. And until you have that conversation, you just don't know what you might learn. So yeah, so we'll get a visit. We'll get a face-to-face meeting. I think it's important to do that early on, rather than leaving it to sort of the last thing you do before you want them to sign the paperwork. Get that done so you get a feel for each other. You know, it's as much about me getting to know them as them getting to know me. You know, they also need to decide, oh yeah, Liam's all right, I could work with him. We need to have that meeting so that, you know, if they do think, well, Liam's a bit of a knob, I don't want to work with him. You know, off you go. You've had that opportunity to find that out, you know, before you've spent a lot of time and effort getting further down the road. So yeah, once we've had that first meeting, then we'll start the more formal sort of things if somebody's interested. You know, we've got a low entry level price in terms of, you know, it can be achieved with the government startup loan or something like that. So there's no sort of onerous finance processes to go through. And yeah, it's just once we've identified that match, it's very. I found it's very quick. We did it sort of the traditional way, if you like, and didn't really get anywhere with half a dozen people. We tried it this new way, and first guy that we sort of had in and saw, you know, from inquiry to actually being here on his training was it 7 weeks?
Wow.
It was just instantly. It was a great fit. You know, it was almost love at first sight sort of thing, and we just got it done. So yeah, we as I say, we qualify it, and then for me the most important thing is actually, you know, get face to face, and as I say, whether that's me travelling to them or them coming to me. Whatever.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so important. I say it all the time that it's a journey of trust, and it's getting to know one another to see whether you can work together, and
Yeah.
two people getting to know one another in a big way. All of the other things have got to be right, and all of those more quantifiable things, but just getting to know that character and them getting to know you. I mean,
Yeah.
this is part of what today is.
Mm.
People are going to get to know you. But that's what it's about. It's about getting to know one another, learning from one another. I picked up on two things you said today. You said about learning from those people. And you also said when you were looking for particular franchisees that you can learn from, they can bring things to you as a
Yeah.
franchisor.
Yeah.
And that's a really refreshing and great thing to hear, that as a franchisor, you want to learn from your franchisees, that you've got a malleable enough business in order for them to say, look, we've had a great idea. Can this be perhaps put into the system in some way and help the business? And you're clearly open to hearing those ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Look, we are coming towards the end and towards chapter 3. It's good they're in chronological order. If you have just joined us today, this is Franchising Brand Stories, and today we're hearing what's under the hat of More Than Loft Ladders with the wonderful Liam Hobbs. It's been a really, really fascinating insight into your business, and if you do want to find out and hear the full story, then please scan the QR code that's on the screen right now, and that will take you to this episode and you can watch the full thing. So we are now going to get into the final chapter, which is chapter 3. And what we want to talk about now is the future. What's going to happen with More Than Loft Ladders this is the time for the exclusive for Franchising Brand Stories. What plans have you got for the future? Have you got any new ideas that you're going to put into the business that are exciting that you would like to talk about?
So yeah, I mean, we're always looking to sort of innovate the product. Certainly get a little bit more environmental with sort of the suppliers. So we're looking at sort of sourcing the best sustainable sort of the stuff. So that's an ongoing process. We obviously we want to grow the network. We want to do that again sustainably. So I'm not rushing out looking for 20 franchisees in the next 12 months. It's very much we'll do 3 or 4 a year.
Yeah.
And they'll be the right 3 or 4 people, so that we're not wasting energy. And they're getting everything they need from us. We've got the time to dedicate.
Yeah.
And so very much sustainability in terms of the job that we do, the materials we use, but also the growth of the network. That's really important. So that we owe it to the franchisees that we've currently got, as well as the new ones coming in, not to be running around like busy fools, chasing people who just shouldn't have even been in the network in the first place. So we've got to get that recruitment bit right. And so yeah, that's the focus for us is just recruiting well. Yeah,
I love that, recruiting well. And also, I love that plan for the future, to be very selective. Someone said to me about running a franchise that you're not a salesperson, you're a selector, and I think that runs both ways. It's about two people selecting their path together as to whether they're going to be in business with each other. So yeah, thanks so much for that. So we are going to finish quickly. Before we do, there is now another QR code on the screen. This time that's going to take you to Liam's wonderful website, where you can find out all about these things. But if you're watching this on your mobile phone, screenshot it, and then when you go to your photos, you can see the QR code. So please do that when you can. If you have any final thoughts, Liam, that you'd like to leave anybody who's watching this either now or in the future with, you know, please let us hear those now, and then we'll talk about what we're doing next week.
Yeah, I mean, final thoughts for me is yeah, just in franchise. I've been fortunate to you know, I was in this franchising world for nearly 10 years, and didn't know what was beneath the surface. Since becoming franchisor, I've you know, entered the community, if you like, and there are so many fantastic people in the franchising world. It's a world I didn't even know existed, despite being involved in franchising for 10 years. So, you know, I'd say to anybody involved in franchising, lift that lid, and go and meet the people in the industry, because you will learn so much, just from talking. Whether you're a franchisee or a franchisor, there is so much to learn by lifting that lid and getting involved with people.
Great, I love that. Or open that hatch and climb up those ladders.
Yeah.
Another good one. But look, thank you. That's great final thoughts. Really appreciate that. I first of all, I'd like to thank you, Liam, for your time today and to share for sharing your brand story with us.
Thanks for having us on. Yeah, it's been great.
My absolute pleasure. It's been a fantastic conversation. I'd also like to thank everyone who has been here today as well. I hope you've enjoyed this brand story. Next week, next Wednesday, we are going to be live from Lanzarote. If I can get things working, we are going to be hearing what's under the hat of Teslon with the wonderful Ryan Armitage. So please join us Wednesday next week at 5:15 for Franchising Brand Stories. And also, I need to promote our other show, which is the Franchise Show. Next week, also from Lanzarote, we are going to be speaking to the wonderful Scott English. No relation to Johnny English, I don't think. Everyone knows Scott, of course, from Elite Business and the awards ceremonies. He may be wearing a tuxedo. We'll find out. But we're going to be talking about next week celebrating franchise success in all its forms. So it's going to be a lovely, positive conversation. Really hope you can all join us for that, and that is Tuesday, 5:15 GMT, 12:15 EST. So look forward to seeing you both next Tuesday and next Wednesday at 5:15. So until next time, my good friends, we'll see you then. Take care.
Cheers.